Ladies, if you've been feeling off lately, maybe your mood swings without warning and sleep is elusive, our next guest says, take a deep breath. You're not going crazy. You're likely in perimenopause and you're far from alone. Joining me now with more is double board certified physician, Dr. Jen Piefleger, to explain. It's great to see you.
Nice to see you.
So let's talk about this. I don't think a lot of women realize how early perimenopause symptoms can start.
Yeah, and it's hard because you might be the same age as a friend and you have totally different symptoms. It's kind of like an oven preheating. Your oven at your home is going to preheat different from your mother's house. So we really got to give some grace with that.
So you created the Perimenopause Reset. How does the book help women when they're at this stage of life?
It gets to the root cause of many of these hormone problems. A lot of it is the declining progesterone plus erratic estrogen and estradiol creates this imbalance. Plus add on cortisol from running the kids to their travel sports or other stressors going on. There's a lot of women working in perimenopause and that really crashes their hormones. So we look for root causes. We talk about sleep. We talk about gut health, mold toxicity, everything, you know, that needs to be uncovered to support hormones.
Let's talk about mold toxicity. We don't mention that much. We have a few times here on Bloom, but is it exposure to mold that causes that?
Yes, so our estradiol, our estrogens, are metabolized through the liver. So when the liver is dealing with all these mold toxins, if we have mold in our sinuses and our gut from an exposure, that can really wreck our estrogen metabolism, and then we can have that estrogen dominance. And especially in Florida, after all these hurricanes, you know, you see the standing water and that drywall within 24 hours can get mold in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary. So how early should someone in perimenopause start hormone replacement therapy?
It depends really. If they're early, like in their late 30s, sometimes we can use some supplements like chaste tree berry to help the body produce its own progesterone. But when they're in their 40s, when women we've already dealt with their stress and the root causes, sometimes I'm like, let's just get started on some oral progesterone during that second half of that cycle, the luteal phase. It also helps them sleep. It takes the edge off, and it is life-changing for women. They go from snapping at their children, getting more irritable, which they've never had before, to nice and calm and cool, back to how they used to be.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now let's talk about when you need to get into the full Monty. That you've got to get the progesterone, the testosterone, the estrogen, everything working together.
Yeah, that is really important. Menopause. So when you hit menopause, the estradiol is low. You want to replace that. That's going to help protect the heart, help protect the bones, help protect the brain. And then you also give testosterone if needed. Not every woman needs testosterone. I have a woman patient in her 60s. She's still having cycles and her testosterone is perfect. Yes, yeah. I'm like, this is crazy, but
she's an anomaly.
Yes, but this is why it's so important to test. That's why we really have to test hormones and make sure we know for each patient what their body is doing.
So you do a blood test and a saliva test?
It depends. I do blood tests sometimes to start off. We can look at FSH, a follicle stimulating hormone, see how close they're getting to menopause. But then once we start putting on topical creams of testosterone or estradiol, then I switch to saliva testing. So we look at the tissue level because the serum isn't going to give us a good indication if we're putting it on topically.
Now, if women are dealing with cortisol levels, what are your recommendations?
Yeah, cortisol is a tricky one. So our adrenal glands are what regulate cortisol. And when we have acute stress, that's good. We want high cortisol to deal with it. But the problem is we're living in chronic stress right now. Even these notifications on our phone and all these reels we're looking at, that can activate our adrenal glands to not feel safe. Someone dealing with a chronic disease like Lyme disease or mold, they could have elevated chronic cortisol from that. And then sometimes it can get burnout, like our adrenals are like, poof, I'm done, I'm out. So this is why it's important to check and see what support they need, such as adaptogens like ashwagandha or rhodiola.
Okay, and those should be taken at what time of the day?
It depends. Depends on the person. Ashwagandha, usually at night, it can make some people sleepy, but it depends. Usually I have patients take them at night, though.
Is there anything that you, somebody like a woman like myself, that bing, 3 o'clock, I'm always up?
Oh yeah, you want to look in your blood sugar, make
Okay.
sure your blood sugar balance is good. Sometimes we have that spike there. Liver health, make sure you're detoxifying well and your liver's running well. And then also the cortisol, we can take those adaptogens at night, like phosphatidylserine or L-theanine is also really helpful.
At night?
Yes, take those at night, and then oral progesterone can also be really helpful.
That's really interesting. All right, well, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining us with all this valuable information.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to share Dr. P. Flegger's advice on Bloom Tampa Bay. And don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.